Hey friends, welcome back to Pastor Kevin and Friends. I brought with me a very unique clock. I don't know if anybody else has one like this, and this is my personal clock. I'm not going to sell this to somebody. I'm not going to give this to somebody. This is a very special clock because it symbolizes something. But before I tell you all about this clock, let me ask you this question. How much time did you spend this last, say, 7 days going to school? Well, of course, none, because school's out for the summer. But during the school year, how many hours a day do you go to school? Somewhere between 6 and 7 hours, right? But then how many hours did you spend doing homework? Probably very little, because teachers don't really give that much homework anymore. At least the teacher that I'm married to doesn't give that much homework. How many hours and how much time did you spend playing on an Xbox or a PlayStation or some kind of electronic game? How many hours did you spend listening to music? How many hours did you spend playing a game or watching a video on the phone? How many hours or how much time did you spend talking on a phone? You see, an iPhone will even track the usage of your phone, how much time you spend on playing games, Facebook, and things like that. How much time did you spend reading your Bible? Time. We function a lot about time. In fact, the Bible talks about time. It says in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, starting at verse 1, to everything there is a season and to a time for every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which has been planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down, a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn, and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace, a time to refrain from embracing, a time to get and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to rend and a time to sow, a time to keep silent, a time to speak, a time to love, a time to hate, and a time for war and a time for peace. And when I go back and I look through that verse of Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 1 through 8, I find that there's something missing. There is not a time to quit. Nowhere in there does it say to quit. So this clock, why is it so unique? Well, each one of these little teardrops or drops here represent a gallon of blood that I have donated. Each one of these represents 8 times of donating blood, because each time I donate, there is a pint, and there are 8 pints in a gallon. See, I have gotten 10, and I am 2 pints away from getting number 11. 11 gallons donated blood. And every time I donate, at least 2 lives are saved or more because of my blood donation. And in a few weeks, they're going to make contact with me. Hey, we need you to donate. We need you to donate. But when I get to 12, is that a time to quit? No, because nowhere in Ecclesiastes chapter 3 does it say there's a time to quit. There's going to be tough times for all of us. There's going to be times where we are discouraged, time to mourn. There are times we're going to be happy. There are going to be times to do this and times to do that, but there's never a time to quit, never a time to give up. There may be a time for a timeout, but that's not a time to quit. There's a time to quit being naughty. There's a time to quit disobeying your parents, but there's not a time to quit what is good and what is the right thing to do. I guess there is a time to stop using I can't and start saying I can or I'll try. Bad times are going to happen. And when you hit those tough times, don't come up with the thought, I quit. Friends will do you wrong, but don't quit. If you lose a loved one, somebody passes away, there's going to be a time to mourn, but don't quit. When there comes to sickness, don't quit. When the enemy, somebody tells you you're no good, don't quit moving forward, because as Job says, I know my Redeemer lives. And if you've made a step towards Jesus, that's a step in the right direction, and don't quit stepping towards Jesus. Don't quit.